Okay, so let's make a full breakdown of the situation that we currently have on USD Mexican peso. Now, from a monthly perspective, let's do a complete top-down analysis. Now, from the monthly time frame, what we can see is that the market has created a nice impulse, a nice correction, and after an impulse and a correction, you expect the market at least to try to start another impulse to the upside. What you also must do after an impulse is to measure the retracement. And to measure the retracement, what you're supposed to be doing is taking your Fibonacci from the low to the high of the impulse. And what you can see is that at the moment, the market is respecting the 50% retracement because it's also the Fibonacci level that is aligning the best with structure. In fact, it is aligning perfectly with the previous resistance here, the high of this wick, which is now support at this area. Let's go down on the weekly time frame and see what kind of situation we have from a weekly perspective. Now, on the weekly time frame, we can see that we have a completely different scenario. In fact, what we can see on the weekly is that the market, before starting the retracement, has created a layer of resistance, previous support here, which is now turned resistance at this area. What we can also notice is that the market has created a nice impulse, a nice correction, and we would like to see more continuation to the downside for a deeper retracement, possibly to test the 61.8, aka the golden ratio that we have identified on the monthly time frame. Now, if we want to measure this retracement, what are we supposed to be doing? Taking a Fibonacci from the high to the low of the impulse, and we can see that currently the market seems to be creating a fake breakout of the 50% retracement. Let's go down on the daily and see what kind of situation we have from a daily perspective. Now, on the daily, we can see that the market had tried basically to create a triple top at this area. In fact, what the market had done is respected its zone here as resistance, again resistance, again resistance. Now it broke the zone to the upside. So all this resistance is turned support at this area. Now, since from the weekly we want to see continuation to the downside, and from the monthly we can expect a deeper retracement to the 61.8, what do we have to do? We have to wait also on a daily time frame for this area to actually break to the downside, because until this zone will be acting as support, we obviously cannot be looking for any shorts because the market can and should bounce away from the zone. Now, before I show you how we will be approaching this with students, let's go and see what we have from a COT perspective. So commitment of traders, what big banks and institutions are currently doing in the market on the USD Mexican peso. Now, if we check the data for the Mexican peso, all currencies on the spot are traded against the USD. Therefore, what you are actually checking is Mexican peso USD. So if you want USD Mexican peso, you just have to reverse everything. And what we can see here is that we had a clear increase from minus 5K to plus 23K. So hedge funds went from having more shorts than longs on Mexican peso USD to having more longs than shorts. So overall, starting to short a USD Mexican peso, because if they're longing Mexican peso USD, they're shorting a USD Mexican peso. So during this move to the upside, we have seen a shift back from having more shorts than longs. And we want to see the continuation to the downside. However, as we have just seen, we can't be looking for any short until we will see a clear break of this area. So only if the market will actually manage to break below the structure, then on the retracement back to the level with students, we will be monitoring price action on the 4-hour time frame, because always remember, monthly, weekly, and daily are for direction. The 4-hour is the best time frame for entry. So we will be monitoring price action on the 4-hour time frame inside of this area, waiting for the market to provide to us one of our valid entries. And as soon as the market will provide to us one of our valid entries, we will be taking a nice short with a very good risk to reward and very good probabilities for the continuation to the downside and creation of a new impulse. But up to now, the market from here can easily just reject its zone to the upside. So we must wait for a daily break below the area before we can even start thinking about taking an opportunity on this pair. Now, if you enjoyed this free analysis and education, make sure you drop a like and a comment. It really does support the creation of more free education and analysis for all of you, and I will see you in the next video.